That was awkward. I wasn't recording. So anyway, I'm just going to boot up the game and I'm going to re-record part of the start of the game. So I made this guy, Peter. He's a vagabond. Let's just remake him just to show what I like to do here. So as far as starting classes, I would recommend going with a vagabond. He has a good balance of strength and dexterity, high health, and excellent armor to start out with. The name doesn't really matter. Oh, whoops. Give me a moment. So, as far as classes, I prefer going with the Vagabond. Being an exiled knight, you have some excellent combat experience, decent amount of strength and dexterity, high health, and although your magic stats are low, you can easily bump them up with some investment. Good alternatives include the Wretch if you want to start with a blank slate, the Confessor or Prisoner if you want to use magic while also being able to attack. Prisoner is a good dex and intelligence build, where the Confessor is a good melee and faith build. Samurai is also a good alternative if you want to use a katana and a bow, but I'll show how you can get a bow early on as the Vagabond. As far as keepsake is concerned, I usually go with either the Lance Between Rune or the Stone Sword Keys. I'll just go with the Rune this time. And I'm going to let the opening play.
The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Oh, rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all. Horalu, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask. Fear, the deathbed companion, the loathsome dung-eater, and Sir Gideon Othmere, The all-knowing! And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring.
Okay,
and become the Elden Lord.
Okay, so that Tarnish of No Renown is us. So as a Vagabond, you start out with a long sword, heater shield, and halberd. I'm gonna remove the halberd just to make moving around easier. You also start out with a Vagabond Knight's helmet. Oh, whoops, I unequipped it. Helmet of a knight banished from their homeland, dirty and battered after enduring a lengthy vagabond journey. The visor is broken and can no longer be lowered. Metal armor is heavy but sturdy, offering significant damage negations. Chest piece of a knight banished from their homeland, dirty and battered. The crest emblazoned on the front is worn and dingy, no longer able to invoke any sentiment. Metal armor is heavy but sturdy. Okay. Oh, whoops, remove the gauntlets. Dirty and battered. Greaves of a knight banished from their homeland, dirty and battered. Okay. So that's the theme with the Vagabond. We're a knight exiled from their homeland, forced to wander for God knows how long. And on this body we found a tarnished wizened finger. Though the path may be broken and uncertain, claim yourself place as Elden Lord. Okay. So this priestess has some motivation for us to continue on. You need that finger that you find off that body to open the door to the chapel. Without it, it will say only those blessed by the fingers may open the door. So the Vagabond's heater shield is a pretty good shield, has perfect damage negation for physical damage and decent magic negation. 43 for fire and magic, 23 for lightning, 43 for holy, and 49 guard boost, which is pretty decent. Coming up here is the Grafted Scion. If you want to make this boss a bit easier, go into R1 to initiate the stance of the Vagabond's longsword, and then once you're in the stance, press R1 to do a lunging strike. Doing 2 combo heavy attacks with the battle art will cause the boss to fall over, which you can... Well, I was going to say that you can use this to combo into other attacks, but he killed me.
Don't worry, Torrent. Fortune is on his side. We found him here, after all. One of his kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
Okay, so we awaken here in this grave. Brave Tarnished, take the plunge of learning and remembrance. Recall the arts of war in your warrior's blood. I'm not gonna do that right now. That's a little tutorial dungeon you can take. And from that woman we got the Flask of Crimson Tears, sacred flask modeled after a holy golden chalice, once graced by a tear of blessing. Filled with crimson tears, this flask recovers health with use. Rest out of sight of grace replenished. The one washed up upon the gravesite was sure to die until the flask offered its gift of rejuvenation to seek the Elden Ring. Flask of Cerulean Tears has a similar description, except it recovers your focus. And the tears that they talk about is nectar from the Erd Tree. It's not literal tears. It's tree sap. So over here's a Lost Grace that you can discover. And over here's the Finger Severer and the Tarnished Furled Finger. Those are used for multiplayer. The Furled Finger creates a summon sign, and the Finger Severer allows you to sever the connection, returning to your world or sending whoever you summon back to theirs. And out here is Limgrave. So one thing I'm going to do that's a little unorthodox is, instead of taking the main path across to that cathedral up ahead, I'm going to go around to the southeast, over to the lake bed.
Oh, yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring? Hmm? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity.
Okay, well, screw you too, buddy. Okay, I already activated that grace. So what I recommend you do is come across behind the grave site that we just came out of, and come around here to where these ruined pillars are. These are the ruins of an aqueduct. And down here, there's a platform you can take down, where you can find this body that has some silver pickled fowl feet. Pretty useful item. I may use one or two to see if I can't get anything valuable from the enemies here. So anyway, for right now, I'm going to remove my weapons, and I'm going to put the halberd that the vagabond starts out with on. Oh, whoops. Its description is a long-handled polearm that combines the functions of an axe and a spear, can be used to press a target with continuous thrusts, or swept at groups, taking advantage of its great reach and cleaving blade. A versatile weapon for any situation, its weapon arts charge forth. Charge forward with the armament at the hip, carrying the movement into a thrust, hold to cover a greater distance. One good thing about the halberd in Elden Ring compared to Dark Souls is that when you use Impaling Thrust on an enemy, or not Impaling Thrust, Charge Forward on an enemy, if that enemy is a standard-sized humanoid like us, then you can knock them on their back and use the halberd's damage to just continuously knock them over for constant damage. The halberd also comes in handy because it's a large weapon, and it's good for stunning enemies that are on horseback. That's one reason why I like starting out as the Vagabond. You have a large weapon right off the bat. You can easily get this weapon off of a merchant in the Limgrave, but, again, the Vagabond starts with it immediately, so I think that versatility alone is very useful, along with the fact that the Vagabond has a full physical reduction shield. So Over here is a dragonfly. If you kill it, you can get its head. It can be used to make medicine. And over here is a Kaiden sellsword. So this is what I mean when I said that large weapons like the halberd is very useful. If you hit the horse with it, you'll stun the horse. And then with it, you can continually damage the horse, and the horseman will fall over, and you can strike him multiple times or get a critical to just kill him outright. It's very useful. Vagabond is the only starting class with a heavy weapon at his disposal, so take full advantage of that, I say. And while the bandit and the samurai start out with a bow, you can easily find one in Limgrave, so you don't have to worry about that. In fact, this soldier here can actually drop a crossbow if you're lucky. Okay, got the rickety shield and string from that demi-human. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Golden rule of Elden Ring is that if you see an enemy with a weapon, you can usually get it by farming them. It's a pretty damn rare drop, but it is possible. Ow. Yeah, these demi-humans are pretty dangerous because they're all gang up on you to attack. Thankfully, though, the Vagabond starts out with the most health of any starting class, so I can pretty easily tank the damage without any issue. Up and over there, there's a site of grace you can rest at. The rickety shield is actually starting equipment of the Prophet class. Creaky wooden shield, circular in shape, roughly fashioned with wooden vines. There are countless other shields available of better make. This piece of scrap isn't even worth the effort of equipping. That's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm just gonna go up here, activate this grace. I'm gonna try killing an enemy up here. It's another Kaiden sellsword. Spamming heavy attacks with the long sword when you wield it in both hands is pretty useful because you do as much poise damage as a large weapon. So let's show that off here by going into square off, and using the square off light attack deals enough damage to just completely knock the enemy off his horse, which is quite useful. The Vagabond isn't the only class that starts out with a straight sword. The sorcerer and the confessor all start out with straight swords, although it's not the long sword, it's a completely different weapon. The confessor starts out with a broadsword for some reason, and the sorcerer class, the astrologer, starts out with the short sword, both of which have their uses. And here are some Godric soldiers that you can take out to get some bolts. So now I'm going to go back over to the first step, and now I'm going to continue my way properly. I'm not going to go straight for the cathedral just yet. Going to take a side path away from the cathedral for right now. Over here are some sheep. If you're lucky, they can drop body parts that you can use for crafting. They include bones, horns, and flesh. The bones are the most useful since you can use them to craft items like darts and arrows. Just want to come around here because there's a path with an enemy here, a giant enemy. The thing I want to try out is that shields apparently do a great amount of stance damage when you strike enemies with them, and I want to see if that's the case. So let's try seeing if I can take this guy out by bashing him with my shield. This is Troll, which is a giant enemy. Yeah, 2 heavy attacks with the shield is enough to break his guard. Fascinating. Ow. Damn, I need to heal. Yeah, the shield doesn't do a lot of damage. Its real strength is the poise damage you can do with it. Okay, now he's gonna pull out his weapon. God damn it, I was hoping I could roll out of the way of that in time, but no. Okay, managed to break his guard again. This time, instead of focusing on getting a critical, I'm just gonna see if I can kill him just by spamming heavy attacks. And there we go. So these giant bastards are guaranteed to drop 1,000 runes upon death, which is quite useful. And I'm just going to drop down here, over to the beach. There's some decent items and enemies you can find here. I'm going to avoid that section of the coast for right now. There's really nothing useful there. Instead, I'm going to go this way over to the demi-humans. Another grouping of them that you can use to farm their equipment. Glowstone is pretty useful. It allows you to light your path. A Ruin Fragment is an okay item. It's used to make items like glowstones and what is the other variety? Damn it, I forgot the name, but there's another item you can use that is similar to the glowstone. In Dark Souls it was called a prism stone. So for right now here in the coastal cave, I'm just going to drop this so I can get a better look at my surroundings. As you can see, that glowstone is quite harsh as far as the lighting is concerned, which comes in handy if you're in a dark area. Not going to rest at the Grace, I'm just going to activate it so that I can travel around here later. The reason why you want to travel around here is because around this area there's a merchant that you can buy some items from. He's a variety that I like to call a paranoid merchant, as you'll see in a moment.
What do you need? I don't want any trouble.
And this guy sells the club, the broadsword, and the short bow, along with the iron round shield. So I'm going to see if I can sell anything of some form of value. I can sell the rickety shield, so that's good. Could sell some of these materials or my weapons, but I don't want to. So let's see what I can purchase from this guy. For right now, I'm going to go with the club, the short bow, and the iron round shield for right now.
All done? Well, the only way then.
So the club's going to come in handy for some enemies coming up, and the iron round shield is a decent shield. Ordinary small round shield made of metal, heavier than a wooden shield, but boasts higher negations. Finely balanced, this shield is easy to use, and it doesn't have a skill, so that's positive in my opinion. And the club is a thick, solid lump of wood. Wielding this weapon requires no skill whatsoever. Simple and primitive, the weapon requires only brute strength and persistence to hammer your foes into the ground. Its weaponer is Barbaric Roar. Let loose a roar to rally the spirit and increase attack power, while active, strong attacks change into a savage combo of blows. Very nice. And now I'm going to just continue on my way. So the short bow is a decent weapon to have, once you get the ability to make arrows, that is. So here in this cathedral, you can find a merchant that sells some pretty valuable items also. I have enough to buy something from him.
You're tarnished. I can see it. But I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods. You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here for any duration. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take my cut. But the important thing is that you survive. Every customer counts, after all.
So yeah, I just want to get the torch here because it's actually a pretty...
I'm glad you took my warning to heart. You've made an excellent choice.
I didn't know that Kawhi had more dialogue. Anyway, I wouldn't mind having the torch on because it's actually a pretty decent bludgeoning weapon. It deals more damage than the club, actually. It doesn't have any combo potential, but it is a powerful weapon. There are some enemies that are weak to blunt, some enemies that are weak to fire, some enemies that are weak to both, and the torch is a decent weapon to deal with all three. The only problem is, it's not a typical weapon, so you can't really do a critical hit with it. For the sake of demonstration, I might as well go with both the torch and the hammer. So that dealt 47 damage per blow. This deals 55. Okay, so the hammer is slightly better. Makes sense, their armor probably has decent protection against fire. And that crafting kit allows for making items. Ah, here they are, rainbow stones. Shine with colored light when placed, serving as a guide, and you just need ruined fragments to make them. I can also make bone darts. Animal bone sharpened into a knife for throwing, craftable item. Might as well make some. These come in handy for a throwable item when you're in a pinch. They're not as powerful as daggers, but they do work. The only real negative about these items is that their range is kind of pathetic. They only have about half the range of a throwing dagger. Oh, got this guy's gauntlets. Nice. There's some Godric soldiers here you can take out. Might as well show off a guard counter. If you guard the attack and then press a heavy attack right when the enemy bounces off your shield, you'll do a guard counter, which does a decent amount of strike damage, but it also deals a ton of posture damage, usually knocking the enemy over completely, allowing you to kill them all. Over here's an example of a rune skull. Break it and you get a golden rune. You'll always get golden runes tier 1 from these things. It's never anything crazy. Another example of a hammer weapon you can find is that some of these soldiers wield a war pick, which is a battle hammer. Decent for most situations. Over here is some root resin. That's used for crafting later on. Oh, and here I got a beast liver and some bones. Pretty useful. So there are 2 other soldiers patrolling the area here. This is a decent place to farm the Godric soldiers for their equipment. If there's any piece of equipment I recommend you farm for, it's the shield and sword that these guys use. Both of them are disturbingly powerful armaments. So over here are some ruins, and there it says a chamber lies under the ruins. Here we see an example of a soldier with a spear and a shield. The tower shields give them more defense than your standard heater shields. Another soldier here. Let's hope I can kill him before getting the attention of the soldier that blows a horn. Come on. And here's the knight. Godric Knight is a pretty dangerous enemy. my advice would be keep your shield up. When he does that attack where he presses you for multiple hits, try to strike at him while he is... Or try to stay at the side of his shield, because usually the attack will miss if you're facing his shield. Okay, he's dead. Here's the map for Western Limgrave, and then from here I might as well tie this in with my other Vagabond character. So I'm going to stick with the straight sword here. This comes in particular handy for taking out the knights with the wooden tower shield. Okay, good, the rain finally stopped. So in this area there are some carriages that you can raid to get some items. Good items from them. Or rather, the items you get from them are quite good. For example, the greatsword in that carriage is quite a powerful weapon. It's a greatsword that some Godric soldiers use. You can't farm it off of them, you can only really find one off of the carriage here. It's a well-crafted straight sword with an illustrious design, wielded by regulars of a lord's army. Blackened and damaged by years of use, it appears to have been kept in otherwise serviceable condition, despite the soldiers having lost their minds. The good thing about the Lord's Sworn equipment is that a lot of them, such as the sword and greatsword, have a counterattack bonus where instead of doing 200% damage to an enemy, you do 210% damage. That's what the 100 and 110 mean. It's adding a percentage modifier to your attack. Okay. So I'm just going to get this item here, the flail, and then I'll just splice this in with the other character. So the flail is a weapon consisting of a bludgeoning head attached to a handle by a chain. The bow is spiked and induces blood loss. Blows from this weapon cannot be parried. Charge attacks whirl the ball around for increased force before striking. Its weapon are the spinning chain. Spin the striking part of the flail at high speeds to attack, follow up with a normal attack to link the momentum into a successive attack, which is quite useful. And the short bow is a small bow made to fire arrows over distances. Other than its ability to fire off arrows in rapid succession, it is also well suited for use on horseback, and to use the bow, arrows must be equipped. Its weapon art is barrage. Ready the bow, and then fire off a rapid succession of shots faster than the eye can see. I thought it said short-ranged shots, hence why I said that, but whatever. It's a pretty good weapon. It doesn't have as much range as a longbow, but it's still useful. Okay, he's dead. These soldiers over here use a war pick, which is a kind of battle hammer. If you're lucky, you can potentially get it to drop off of them. It's an okay weapon. It's weaker than the club, but it's still an okay armament all the same. So last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go into the cellar that the message described, and in here you'll find 2 valuable items. Ash of War Storm Stomp and the Whetstone Knife. The Whetstone Knife allows you to change the weapon art of your weapon and infuse it, which is quite good. So there are 2 sites of grace here, one over by the gate and one across the other side. I'll just get the one by the gate for right now. Then I'll travel over to Aguil Lake South to just continue this with the other Vagabond. Oh, I didn't mean to rest there. Okay, well, I'll have a little bit more to add.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina. I offer you an accord. Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the Two Fingers, offering guidance and aid to the Tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erd Tree.
What's cool about this is that you can refuse her offer, but if you do, don't worry, you can just talk to her at any site of grace.
I understand. I'm asking you to put faith in but a stranger. Yet I'm certain that we can reach an understanding. Summon me by grace, if you should reconsider.
And she fades away. So now I'm just going to travel over to Aguila Lake South. I'll finish this off and splice it in with the other video.
Have you reconsidered my offer?
Yes.
Then it's settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring.
Okay, so from her we get the Spectral Steed's Whistle.
Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you.
Is it nighttime already?
Treat him with respect.
Okay, so now we can level up with Melina's assistance. Okay, no, it's morning. So what I want to do is here on my hotbar, I want to put the Steed's Whistle on the bottom. So if you hold Y on Xbox, you can go down here to a little hotbar that shows all of the... shows some items that you have on here. Let's see if I can't get close enough to antagonize this swordsman. Yes, I can. Okay. Ow. And I got the dismounter from him. Nice. The dismounter is a large greatsword. Or rather, a large curved sword. While I have the goodest boy, I could explore this upper section of the map. I'll show this another time, though. Basically, using torrents, you can jump up those giant whirlwinds and get some good distance. So, over here is the Bridge of Sacrifice that connects the Weeping Peninsula to the mainland. So what I recommend you do is hop on torrent, run around to behind the ballista, take out the soldier that's manning the ballista. You could also try taking out the rest of the enemies here if you want. There are tons of soldiers here that you can farm for their equipment. Oh, I got the helmet from this guy. 3 smithing stones from that body. Another copy of the helmet, pretty useful. Around here you get a stone sword key, which you can use to unlock different type, or you can use them to unlock barriers. And the way it works is there are statues that are shaped like little imps, and you can open up those. Or what you do is you take the key, stick them inside of the imp statue, and open the barrier. So there's a young woman here. You could talk to her if you want. I'll talk to her in a moment. What you want to pay attention to here are all of the enemies around here. Some dogs and some soldiers. And I have a very good reason for coming around to the Weeping Peninsula at this point. More so than getting ganged up on by these dogs, but you can get some beast bones off of them if you please. Anyway, there's a Godric soldier here. Stab him in the back to kill him. He's not dead. Now he is. There should be another guard dog here, unless he already noticed me. But over here is a very good weapon. The Morning Star. Battle hammer comprised of a globe attached to a handle. It's a bludgeon that deals strike damage, and the appellative star is covered in spikes, which cause blood loss. Ironic that it has such a graceful name, as this weapon always reeks of blood. It doesn't have a skill natively, but you can easily add a skill to it, using the whetstone knife. Ow. So, over here you find some bird people, also known as Misbegotten. I need to get back, because I don't want these guys to kill me. There's an example of a guard counter with the Morning Star. It works. So these bird people are called Misbegotten. They're pretty strong against bash damage, but they are still susceptible to bleed and easy enough to take out. Okay, smithing stone tier 2 on that body, nice. And around here there is a teardrop scarab. There are multiple colors of teardrop scarab. This silver one here drops an Ash of War upon death. So this guy drops Mighty Shot. This is the ability that most bows have. You can usually find it on longbows. So the Ash of War grants no affinity to an armament, but imparts the skill Mighty Shot. Archery performed from an oblique stance, ready to bow, then pull back the bowstring to its limit to enhance the power and range of the shot. It penetrates enemy guards, and it can be used on light bows and longbows. I plan on sticking it onto the light bow that I got from the merchant. And speaking of bows and merchants, there's another merchant here that has a good range of items. So, I'm going to activate the Grace here, and then I'm going to chat with him.
Buying or selling?
He's very blunt and to the point. So I'm going to sell this rune to him, and then I'm going to purchase... let's see. I'm going to purchase parts of the spiked armor. Can't purchase any more. I'm going to purchase this ritual pot. You can... or no, this is a cracked pot. An empty vessel that mends itself when broken, essential for crafting cracked pot items. The material and magics sealed within deploy their effects when the pot is thrown.
Hey, well.
Basically, you can use it to make grenades. One such grenade I can make, if I go to item crafting, is fire grenade and holy water pot. So let's try making a fire grenade. I only have access to one at the moment. Kale can sell you up to 3 of these, and this merchant sells you 1, so if you go to Kale and buy some, you'll have 4. I'll do that in a moment, but first I want to go up here. I'm gonna stick with the longsword, and let's see if I can't make my way past all of this area with all these dogs. Hurtly flowers can be commonly found through here. Their flowers infused with the light of the Erd Tree. And this enemy here is a great dragonfly. The common drop you get from them are their heads, which you can use to make medicine that cures poison. Basically take cave moss, mix it with some herbs and the dragonfly head, and with it you can make the medicine. The medicine you make with them are boluses that can cure poison. All the boluses are color-coded. Green cures poison, blue cures sleep, red cures bleed, yellow cures frenzy, and so on and so forth. Again, the only thing that sucks about starting as a vagabond is that you have very low arcane, but you can make it work. So there's a small brace up here that you can activate and rest at. I'm not going to rest at it just yet, I'm just going to activate it. If you climb up this small slope, you'll find a demi-human chieftain that you can kill to potentially get some good items. If you go down, you'll find some demi-humans in a set of ruins that they set up camp in. I'll show off both in a moment, but let's just take care of the chieftain here. Chieftain likes to attack with those twin daggers. His attacks will likely cause bleed buildup. Oh, he dropped a shiny. I wonder if it's his weapon. Pretty big. Oh, and it is his weapon, the bloodstained dagger. Nice. Okay, well this build is officially a keeper, so going to update this one here before it. Actually, I'm going to log out, then save. So update this. And the reason why I want to do this after quitting out is because quitting out after you get an item basically forces the game to do a hard save. So here's the bloodstained dagger. Dagger with a bloodied blade afflicts target with blood loss. The blood darkened dagger through repeated slashing and as blood darkened the dagger through repeated slashing and stabbing, the blade only grew sharper and harder. So I'm guessing the sharpness had to do with it rusting over and getting crystallized, and that probably resulted in it getting harder too. Here's an example of the weapon in action. It's not very strong, but being a dagger, it is fast. Oh, Guardian Sword Spear. Okay, give me a moment while I save and quit a second time. I just want to lock in all these amazing items as I get them. Can you blame me for being paranoid? So the Guardian Sword Spear, weapon consisting of a long handle, broad blade, sharpened from the wood of old trees, wielded by guardians of minor Erd trees who are known as experts in combat. The power of this weapon scales greatly with dexterity, and it has spinning slash. This is a fun weapon. Unlike most halberds that chop up to down or poke, this one mainly uses upward diagonal slices from your hip to your shoulder. Why explain it when I can show it? I don't have the stats needed to wield it, but it doesn't matter, I just want to show it off. Pretty cool, huh? And up here is a cathedral that I want to make my way to, as the cathedral has some pretty useful weapons as well as a grace. There are also some noblemen here. Typically they drop herbs and fruit, but if you're lucky you can get weapons off of them. So here's the Church Pilgrimage, with a statue of King Consort Radigan. Cathedrals like these usually have sacred tiers. You're basically guaranteed to find a sacred tier if the cathedral has a statue of a deity in it. So over here is a bandit skeleton. So here's something geeky about fighting skeletons. I was gonna say, if I get the bandit's blade, I'm going to throw up. Anyway, here's the weapon. Gilded Iron Shield. It's a small shield like the Iron Round Shield, except this one is covered in brass. Small metal round shield, heavier than a wooden shield, but boasts higher damage negation. The gold leaf is peeling, and the effect is slight, but it offers holy damage negation, and its weapon art is parry. So one good thing about small shields in this game is that they are very good at parrying enemy attacks. And the good thing about metal small shields is that they have almost as much defense as a long shield, or as a large shield, so you can use that to your advantage. A few more things that I want to get here is I want to climb up these ruins, make my way to that Erd tree. I don't want to attack the boss there, I just want to climb up. Get the item. There's a shield up there that I can get. Let's go with the dagger. Let's see how well the dagger's attacks are against these guardians. Decent damage at the wake up. And on top of it, this has bleed, so if you want to put blood grease on it, be my guest. Okay, one down. Good thing about using a dagger is that since it is a very fast weapon with a good critical modifier, you can get some pretty good criticals in early. If you ever want to farm the Erdtree Guardians for their weapons, I would recommend opening up this catacomb and activating the grace in it. There's another grace that's relatively close to here, but here's the Tombsword Catacombs. Okay, I didn't know where else to put this, but, I'm probably just gonna have to put it in with a hard cut. Anyway, at the Church Pilgrimage, I managed to get the old aristocrat's call from one of the old men. It's a pretty fashionable piece of equipment. It's a green hood with a green scarf running along it. They got the Guardian's Greaves here. Just running through these guys again. Okay, running good on time. So the Guardian's Greaves are another pretty fashionable set of equipment. Greaves worn by the Guardian's minor Erdtrees in accordance with an ancient pact with the Erdtree. It is said that their deaths would end not in destruction, but instead with renewed eternal life as Guardians. Pretty fashionable piece of equipment if you ask me. It has it's pretty good defenses. Pretty good resistances. And up here is a minor Erdtree. I wouldn't recommend fighting the boss here just yet. Instead, I would recommend running over to the right of the tree from where you came up, over to these pillars that are parts of an aqueduct. So down here, you can fall down onto the ruin aqueduct and get these items. Important thing I want to get is that shield down there. Okay. Mausoleum or Eclipse Crest Heater Shield. Medium-sized shield, easier to handle than a kite shield. The sun in Eclipse is said to be the symbol of the Wandering Mausoleum, where the soulless demigods slumber. It's a pretty good weapon because it doesn't have a skill, so you can use your weapon arts as you wish with this on. There's a grace here known as the Tomb Sword. I'm going to acquire it. So touch the grace to discover it. Down here are some mausoleum soldiers. There are 2, 4, 3, 6, 9. There are 13 soldiers here. There are 2 of them in groups of 2, 3 of them in groups of 3. So this is why I like the heater shield so much. Or rather, any shield with no skill. You can easily get in some hefty damage here. By brushing away the enemy shields and attacking directly. Okay, got the brass shield from that guy. Going to hop on torrents to get to these guys faster. I managed to hit 2 of them here with square off, so that's useful. The thing about these Mausoleum Knights that are so annoying... Oh, and here's the Lordsworn Straight-Sword, excellent. The description is the same as the Lordsworn Greatsword, a well-crafted sword with an illustrious design, wielded by regulars of a lord's army. It's blackened and damaged by years of use, but appears to have been kept in otherwise serviceable condition. And it has square off. So this is a very useful sword, as much like the Lordsworn Greatsword, it has a critical damage multiplier. And I managed to get this with base luck, so that's excellent. Let me take this guy out. Okay, guard counter. I wonder if I get part of their armor. Oh, got their gauntlets, okay. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the gauntlets and the greaves. I feel that you can get by with any pair of gauntlets or greaves from any of the Lordsworn sets. If you want to prioritize getting any piece of the Lordsworn armor, I would definitely prioritize farming for the Sir coat. Once you have the coat, that's really all you need. And if you want even more... If you want to be even more fashion forward, I would say go for the helmet, since a lot of them have special helmets, except for the Mausoleum set. The Mausoleum set just has the armor set minus the helmet, since these goats are decapitated. Okay, all these guys been taken care of. And one thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to first head over to the coastal cave to buy a weapon from the Paranoid Merchant, and then I'm going to head over to the settlement, or to the areas you can go to around the north of Limgrave, starting from the Agiel Lake north side of Grace, but that'll be for another time. So I'm going to let's terminate this video now, and if you're watching this on YouTube and you enjoy this, by all means leave a like. And if by any chance you don't enjoy this, then by all means leave a dislike. Perfectly fine, as long as there's healthy interaction with the video. So until next time, I hope you have a good day.